Welcome back to Everything Goes podcast with T and K, guys. There's a lot to talk about. Will Jerry Jones fire Jason Garrett? Who really knows at this point? But stay tuned.
Been lit, boy. Everything goes.
We now return you to regular programming.
All right, so this Sunday we have, 4 wildcard games going on this week?
Yep.
Some big wild card games going on. My Saints, I really wanted that first round bye, even if they would have got the number 2 seed, but Green Bay won, and 49ers beat Seattle in a crazy ending. But
there's a lot of good games this weekend. We have the Bills, Texans, Tennessee, New England, Vikings, Saints, and Seattle and Philly.
Not many people thinking Philly's going to make it past the first round, but there's a lot to go into.
I think they have a very good matchup with the first round. I mean, they have a Seattle team that they can beat. And Carson Wentz, he has been playing a lot better with nothing. I mean, Zach Ertz is going to be out with a lacerated kidney. The only downside is Wentz, this is his first playoff game, and he's 0-4 against Seattle, and he has 4 touchdowns and 8 turnovers against them. And this is what they're reporting now, and this is the same stuff that I heard when Dallas went to town, that they can't beat Dallas, and Dallas is this and that, and then look what happened.
Yeah, like you said, Wentz is, won 4 straight. Well, the Eagles have won 4 straight. In the last month, they played well. He's played with only 3 healthy backup wide receivers, first of all. I mean, they're playing with no names. But his last 4 games, he has 1,199 yards, 7 touchdowns, and a big old 0 interceptions.
And the most impressive thing is their defense has stepped up, and that's really helping them out. And this kind of has that feel of a couple years ago when they went on that magical run.
Where everybody said that they're underdogs, and they went all the way to the Super Bowl. But like you said, Seattle's a beatable team. I mean, they're coming off a loss to the 49ers. They really don't have a running back right now. I mean, they had Homer, who had 62 yards rushing, I don't even know who that is, really, just another backup guy. Marshawn Lynch, he got the ball a few times. He got stuffed a couple times in the line, but eventually hopped in there.
You know what's funny, though? This is the first time, I believe, in NFL history that the top 5 passers in the NFL didn't make the playoffs. Jameis Winston, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Phillip Rivers, and Matt Ryan, going off of yards, didn't make the playoffs.
I mean, hey, just because you throw a lot of passing yards doesn't mean you're a good team. I mean, look at Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers' team was terrible this year. But Seattle has lost the last 3 of their 4 games, so, I mean, if you're looking at who's hot and who's cold, the Eagles are the hot team here coming into this game, and it's in Philly.
You know what's interesting, though, about Seattle is they could have beat the 49ers the last game. They got that false start. They were on the 1-yard line. They had a false start that backed them up and they didn't get in.
Well, no, that last drive, they got a delay of game.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
And what's weird about that is they're sitting in the huddle, and it's like almost like they didn't, I don't know if someone didn't reset the clock, but they're in the huddle not even with the play done yet.
But they were going to win that game. That was my whole point. They were going to win that game. They were on the 1-yard line.
On first down.
Give it the beast mode. I think they learned a lesson from the Super Bowl that you give it the beast mode. And they're 9-2 in 1-score games this year.
When Marshawn Lynch got that call about re-signing, he probably was like, if we're on the 1-yard line again, I'm getting the ball, coach, right? He's probably like, yeah, you're getting the ball.
And what's funny? He was back one game, and they showed the cleanup crew cleaning up Skittles all over the place.
I saw that. Seattle's 11-5, Philly's 9-7. In outdoor games this year, Seattle's 9-5, Philly's 9-4. Philadelphia's 5-3 at home, and Seattle is 7-1 on the road this year.
I'll tell you what, Seattle's going into a rough environment. I mean, that place, it was packed for the Cowboys game, which was like a playoff game. That place is going to be jumping. It's going to be loud.
Yeah, like you said, I hope Ertz. I think Ertz is officially listed as out right now, but that could change, obviously. But Nelson Aguilar is also out. I mean, the Eagles really just don't have many receivers. But, I mean, same thing with Seattle, though. Seattle doesn't really have a number 1 running back right now. But, I mean, I was watching the highlights of that game. Their wide receivers still look good. You got Tyler Lockett, who's playing well. Metcalf, who's really stepping up this year. To see if Beast Mode can go off this year.
Let's see what happens with the Eagles fans. They went from being quiet to last week coming out of the woodwork. And, all the stuff that's been on Facebook all week. And, of course, they always got to bring stuff about the Cowboys. To back to loving Wentz and back to loving their coach, and let's see what happens after they go into a playoff game. If they're 1 and done, does the tide turn? And
which
they
I hope
back?
they do.
But
let's get your prediction of that game. Who do you think's gonna win that game?
I tell you what, it's gonna be tough. if the defense for Philly steps up again, it's gonna be a really good game. But I just think Seattle has too many weapons, too many deep threats. Beast mode. If they can get, the problem is
he had a few bursts last game. He didn't put up a lot of numbers, but there was one play in the beginning of the game where like he was 1-on-1 with a defender, and you could see it's almost like he wanted to hit him hard, almost to see what that felt like, because he's been out like good chunk of months. I think it was like 14 they said, or like almost a year, so like that big hit to see what it feels like. And then once he did that, he's like, oh, I got this.
I think the downside for Seattle is they're losing. They lost key members of their offensive line. So with Philly's pass rush, can they get the Russell Wilson? And that's another thing too, can they keep him in the pocket? Because once he gets out of the pocket and gets out of containment, he can make plays happen. And then that's where you get Metcalf and him over the top, and you get Lockett. They've been around this for a long time. But I just think Seattle has too many weapons. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Seattle's going to win this one.
Yeah, I'm thinking that if I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think that Seattle's going to come out on top of this one, especially I think Seattle's defense played very bad against the 49ers. I think Jimmy Garoppolo threw all over them, and they ran all over them. I think their running back had 3 or 2 touchdowns. But so I don't know. The Eagles have backups in right now, so we're going to see. But I'm taking Seattle on top of this one. But we'll go to the next NFC game, which is Saints, Minnesota.
I think this is going to be – I think this is a revenge game. The Saints have a lot of pent-up anger from a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I just hope that the game is actually won on the field and it's not won to the officials. I think Minnesota is good. They have a lot of tough weapons. I think the thing that's going to be against them is going to be playing in that dome. That dome is going to be rocking.
Yeah.
Can Cousins handle the pressure of the noise in the dome? I think Dalvin Cook's back. They're pretty much healthy. Thielen, he's been back. So all their weapons are there. It's going to be a matter of what can Kirk Cousins do in the dome. I think it's going to come down to Kirk Cousins.
A couple of days ago, Dalvin Cook was listed as out, and I was really hoping for that because, they're just other guys that don't really have decent backups. But he's questionable right now, but in his mind, he's saying he's going to play.
I think he practiced full.
Kendricks is out as far as I'm concerned. Well, the Saints that I'm nervous about is a lot of our secondary guys are listed as out and questionable right now. Like Eli Apple was listed as out. Marcus Williams, Von Bell. That's some of our better players in the backfield.
The key for Minnesota is going to be quieting the crowd fast. Don't let Drew Brees get into a rhythm. Don't let him have one of those wonderful games that he usually tends to have in the playoffs. You got to get pressure on him, and if you can rattle Drew Brees, you can beat them.
Yeah, you can. And of course, what that starts with is turnovers too. You can get the Saints to turn the ball over quick and get them 3 and outs. It's tough for as a Saints fan. I've seen that once a team has done that to us, it's tough for them to come back.
And the most important thing too is you got to take away the key weapon. And we talked about this in the past. If you can take away Michael Thomas and force him to throw the ball around,
I'm gonna get into that in a second. Not even Michael Thomas, but coming into this game, Minnesota's 10-6, New Orleans is 13-3. Amazing season. On the road this year, though, Kirk Cousins is simple 4-4. Indoor, though, both teams pretty even. Saints are 6-2, Minnesota 7-2. I think this is going to be a really high-scoring game. But I think both these teams have good defenses. But I think with the offensive weapons, that it's going to be whoever can put up the most points and stop the other team. Because coming to this game, Saints are 3rd in points per game, Minnesota's 8th. So it's going to be a high-scoring game, I think, in my book.
I think Drew Brees listens to this podcast because since I've been saying that he only has one target, I think last week he threw it to 9 different receivers last week.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to say coming into the past 2 and 3 weeks, the Saints have had multiple players get hot. Alvin Kamara has 4 rushing touchdowns over the past 2 weeks. And then I got into that the last podcast with Jared Cook. Jared Cook in the month of December has caught 11 of 12 targets for 246 passing yards and 5 touchdowns. He's currently averaging 61.5 yards per game and 22.4 yards per catch.
Who's the other tight end that they have that's been hot
Josh
lately?
Hill. He's always our red zone threat. He always gets the touchdowns. But Josh Hill, like I said, he's getting hot, which is nice because if you can get a couple guys to get hot going into the playoffs, it takes a lot of focus off Michael Thomas and allows him to get open more too. Because Alvin Kamara's had a quiet year, not receiving, just rushing. He still is good in the receiving field. Drew Brees throws it out to him and he does his thing. But he had 2 touchdowns rushing coming into the 3rd last week of the NFL season. But I don't know. The biggest thing here is Minnesota didn't play any of their starters last week, so a lot of them are rested.
And you know what? I don't know how I feel about that.
Going in the dome too. I think.
You
I
know,
don't know. I
and just
mean,
like Baltimore, they haven't played Lamar Jackson. He's going to be on the second week. He's going to be sitting out because of they got a bye.
yeah, I mean, you still
I
get
just-
your reps in practice and you
I
play
think-
against defensive starters, but
I think rest is good for players that need it because of injuries, but I think you still need your reps as far as in-game reps. And even if they played a half, I think it's better than nothing.
that's
I mean,
why I said
Adam
I said
Thielen's
Lamar
been
should
out.
at least played at least a half.
Thielen's been out how many weeks? You know, in his last 2 games that he did play in, he hasn't got hardly any receptions. So, you know, the timing could be off there. And I think it's important to get that back before you go into a key game like this.
Yeah. Biggest reason I wanted the number 1 seed and at least get a bye is because 17 years of the present playoff format, 26 of the 34 Super Bowl teams had a bye on the wild card.
You know what? Another thing about that Saints game, I think if the offensive line, if they can get their running game going, this is Minnesota, if they can get the running game going and they can keep the pressure off Kirk Cousins and Kirk Cousins doesn't get caught holding the ball, they have the weapons to beat the Saints because you guys are lacking cornerback depth.
Yep.
You know, they have Diggs,
Our
they have a lot of
linebacker
guys.
and defensive line is doing great this year. It's really been our secondary, like passing the ball. What's nice is the Saints have one of the number 1 rush defense in the league. So if we can stop Dalvin Cook, that's huge.
And that's going to be really huge.
A crazy stat that I found though here is Minnesota has played 3 games on the road this year against teams that are in the playoffs right now. They lost all 3 of them: Green Bay, Kansas City, and Seattle.
The thing is about the playoffs, though, most of those
It's a different
stats you got to
thing.
throw
Yep.
them out.
It's
You know,
different.
this is the best of the best now, and everyone knows it's a one or done. So they're going to give everything they have. I think the key for that game, though, is Minnesota has to beat the Saints over the top. If they can beat them over the top with Diggs, it's going to force them to pull the safeties back. They won't be able to load the box. They can get Dalvin Cook going, and then we can see what they can do. Thielen's going to be a threat across the middle, and plus they have Kyle Rudolph, who they can always use, the veteran that's been there for a
And
while.
I'm really hoping, like you said, I hope this game doesn't come down to referees dictating the game. I hope they let them play.
Well, I hope
because,
none of the games have that issue.
I'm really excited for this game. I really wish we would have had a bye because wild card, man. I mean, at least it's not like wild card baseball where you have 1 game in your, because in baseball you get 3 to 5. So I mean, I'm just happy we at least get 1 game in the dome because I think the winner of this game goes to San Francisco.
Yeah, I
And
just
I hope Green Bay loses early too because I don't want to go to Green Bay.
I mean, the officials lately have got their act together as far as overturning pass interference. I just hope they don't, the holding penalty is another one that kills. They've been throwing a lot of those holding flags, especially with that extra official in the backfield. So I just hope they let them play it out.
I'm taking New Orleans over Minnesota here, not even because I'm a Saints fan. I just think with that home crowd, it's tough to play there. Kirk Cousins 4-4 on the road this year.
Well,
I'm taking New Orleans at home.
I think the Saints are going to win, but unfortunately, in our pool that we have with all of us, I have to take the Vikings because I'm 7 games back. I have the Vikings and I have Seattle.
If Rudy was here, or like I was my manager at work, he's a Vikings fan. I always tell him, I said I hate the whole like when you have a game coming up and they're like, this is the reasons why this team's gonna win. Like people are like, the Saints are at home, they're gonna win. I hate all that talk. I don't look at all that talk because at the end of the day, anybody could be anybody. I mean, you saw it when Atlanta had 2 wins and they came into New Orleans, who I think was undefeated or had 1 loss, and they whooped us this year. I mean, anybody could do it. It's just I hate when everyone hypes a team up and it just doesn't happen.
Well, Saturday we have some big games too. We have the Bills and Texans, and then we have Tennessee, New England.
Okay. Let's talk about the Bills in Houston because I don't know if the Bills are even a legit team this year in my eyes.
I think they're legit defensively. I think offensively, I mean, they have a quarterback that likes to scramble and run around and extend the play, and he's good with he's deadly with he has a good arm and he's deadly with his feet. The Texans, they have a lot of weapons if they're healthy.
Yeah.
They don't have too much of a running game. I mean, they have Duke Johnson, who's always there as a pass threat, but they really never got the running game going this year.
I think the Bills' defense is legit.
Oh, definitely
But
legit.
I don't think as a team. I saw this crazy stat where the Bills are 10-6, right? The Bills have played 5 games this year against playoff teams, the Patriots, including the Patriots, twice, and they're 1-4 in those games. The only team they beat was the Titans, 14-7. So every legit team they played this year had a winning record. Really, they lost. Mm-hmm. So that's why in my eyes, like it's just I don't know. I mean, I hope the best for them because you never see that type of team in the playoffs. But I just never had that good feeling in my gut that this was a legit team that was going to make it far in the playoffs.
Well, the thing that's going to kill the Texans is their defense. Their defense that doesn't do anything as far as stopping. They have a score differential of -7, meaning that they're scoring 378 points total for the season, but they allowed 385.
Yeah, they're 19th in allowed yards this year.
Yeah, so I think that's
the
going
Bills
to
are
kill them.
second.
They're going to have to find ways to get in there, and the number one guy they have to stop is Cole Beasley. That's their biggest threat. Singleton in the backfield. I don't know if he's healthy, if he's playing or not.
Buffalo is 6-2 on the road too, which gives them the advantage. There's a lot of questionable players right now for the Texans.
And Buffalo's going to be well rested. They sat last week 62% of their offensive people on their team. So
Well, you have Hopkins, Watson is on questionable too. Kenny Stills,
Fuller.
Tunzel, Robbie.
Fuller is never healthy.
There's a lot of people that are questionable, but that could just be questionable. You never know what questionable.
And Bill O'Brien, he's just one of those guys. He just he doesn't go far in the playoffs for some reason. The Texans always has something that happens. But I have the Bills. I have the Bills winning this game. It's going to be a tough game down in Houston, but I have the Bills. I think the defense is too good, and I think it's going to stop them.
I'm taking Houston. I think their offense just has a little bit more fire in them, has a little bit more weapons. And if Texans would win, they would go on most likely to play Baltimore, who blew them out 41-7 back in Week 11. So that'd be an interesting rematch.
I have a bad feeling about Deshaun Watson. I mean, he had a career year this year with 26 TDs. That's the most he's ever thrown. But I think when he gets pressure, he's going to force him to make mistakes. I just see key interceptions in this game because Buffalo does get a lot of turnovers.
And Buffalo does hands down have a good defense. I just think that Watson's going to outplay Josh Allen.
And I think the craziest game of this weekend is going to be this Tennessee team who's really hot right now. They have a lot of good players on that team that are stepping up. Tannehill is just absolutely lighting it up in all
Tannehill is
categories.
having the best year of his career right now.
Mm-hmm. Henry is the leading rusher. You have that rookie receiver, A.J. Brown, who's having a great year.
Henry last game had 211 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns.
Leading rusher this year, 1,500 yards rushing
He's
plus.
just a monster.
But in New England's coming off that freaking loss to Miami that knocked them from the 2 seed down to the 3 or 4 seed.
Do you know Fitzpatrick is the only person that, because he's played in like every team in that division, and he's beaten the Patriots with every single team.
Mm-hmm.
But no, the Titans have won the last 5 of their 7 games, one of them including the Chiefs. So I mean, yeah, the Titans are definitely the hot team here.
This is a sleeper game. It really is, because New England is tough at home. They have a real tough environment to play in. But I just think that
it's in New England too.
I think
so it's
Vrabel's
going to
have his team. He's going to have Tennessee. He's going to have Tennessee fired up.
Yeah, I mean Tennessee's 6-7 outdoors this year, and I mean it's New England. New England's gonna be cold. It's gonna be tough.
As long as it doesn't snow.
Which I was just gonna say, as long as it doesn't snow. But I think.
I mean, it's been pretty warm up here in the Northeast lately. I mean, it was almost 50 degrees here today. You might get a game in the 40s up there. So
I think with them losing to Miami, I think that they're gonna come out and just like put on a show. I think Tom Brady's gonna come out. He's gonna throw a lot. I think that they're just after an embarrassing loss like that.
So let's rank. What's your power ranking as far as the 12 playoff teams go?
I don't know.
I mean, I have, and I'll give you mine. And this is from 12th up to 1. I have Philly as 12 because of the injuries, not because they're a bad team, just because of the injuries.
Yeah.
I have Seattle at 11. This is a coin flip between Green Bay and Minnesota. I have Green Bay at 10. I have New England at 9. I have the Bills at 8. I have the Texans at 7. I have Minnesota at 6 because they have a lot of weapons. Shockingly, I have. This is a coin flip too. I don't know if New England deserves to be in the top 5. They really don't have anything other than Julian
I can give you
Edelman.
my top 3.
I want to put Tennessee or the Bills in the top 5 spot, but it's kind of weird. But I have New England as 4. I have the 49ers as 3. I have Kansas City as 2 and Baltimore as 1.
Where'd you put New Orleans?
4.
My top 3 would be Baltimore, 49ers, and New Orleans. And the only reason I put the 49ers obviously in front of the Saints because they beat them. I wouldn't put Kansas City in front of those two teams.
I just think this is Kansas City's year. I think they're going to shock everybody. They have a lot of weapons on offense. The defense has been playing better.
They've been a quiet, good team this year.
And the 49ers, I have them 3rd because I just think they on both sides of the field, both sides of the ball, they have great talent.
That game against Seattle. It's just amazing how fast Garoppolo moves down the field. Mm-hmm. It's never like a slow and easy drive. Like they just make big plays, and they have that wide receiver Samuel. He can run. Excuse me. He freaking can run, and their running back. What an incredible story that is! A guy that was on like 6 or 7 different teams and just could never get on a starting role, and now he's having the best year of his life.
My whole thing with New Orleans, though, if they get into a shootout, like if they get into a shootout with the 49ers,
Breeze.
Is their defense good enough
Yeah.
to get a stop? And that's why I have them at 4, because I think the 49ers have been playing tough all year. I mean, they had a couple games where they started allowing more points, but the playoffs are going to be different. I just think they're going to be tough, and they're legit. Everyone's been questioning them all year, and I think they're legit.
Yeah, I do. I'm taking the Patriots, though. I think that the Titans will put up a fight, but I think the Patriots are going to come out on top in this one.
Yeah, I have the Patriots too. In our pool, I might have to switch that up and take Tennessee. Like I said, I'm 7 games back, so I got to take chances.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of news going on in the NFL. We can start.
How about Cleveland?
Yeah, I was gonna say let's start with Cleveland. I mean, you have
12 new coaches since 1999.
Yeah.
Now they just fired Freddie Kitchens. They just got rid of their GM. There's rumors out there today that Urban Meyer is the top one on their list.
I wouldn't even want to go there. Yeah, you have Freddie Kitchens who gets fired, and about 48 hours later, John Dorsey's pulled into a room with the owners and everybody, and they mutually part ways, which I was shocked about because you think about the team that John Dorsey has put together, you could potentially say it's the best Browns team talent-wise in history.
Yeah, but you have a lot of head cases. You have 2 receivers that don't want to be there. They're constantly telling
I
other
don't think they
teams
don't want to be there.
them.
I think that they just want to win so bad. They know how much talent is on this team, and your coach wasn't. I just think the chemistry between them. My biggest thing was out of this whole thing here is, all right, even if Freddie Kitchens didn't do that great of a job, okay, we went what, like 6-10 his first year. You have to give these coaches, like, I mean, you think about the coaches they've had. It's just like, and the quarterbacks too. It's like always a 1-year deal, 1-year thing. We're gonna fire this guy after 1 year, fire this guy after 1 year. You gotta allow these coaches to have a 2 or 3 year. They're not gonna be perfect right away.
No.
They're just he's a brand new coach, not a brand new. I mean, he was there the year before, but you gotta allow these coaches to get in a rhythm and to get the chemistry with the team and get on a game plan that they know what works. I mean, if you fired Sean Payton of all the seasons, he went 7-9, and now you look at him, he went like 13-3 this year. I think we went 12-4 the year before that. Like, it's just, that's frustrating. You can't just keep firing these coaches after a 1-year deal. You have to allow them to work.
Yep, and now this is going to be another new offensive scheme for Baker Mayfield, who, I don't know what's up with him. The guy, he wants to fight fans. He's thrown 21 interceptions this year or something like that.
Who, Baker? I still think Baker's their guy. I think that he's a talented quarterback. I don't think they should change anything, Ross. I think that their team is good. I mean, under Dorsey, these past 2 years, they went 13-18 with 1 tie. That's more wins they've had in the past 5 years. I think I can understand
the team was out of control, and Freddie Kitchens couldn't control it.
I can understand firing Freddie Kitchens. I was shocked when they mutually parted ways with Dorsey because I thought Dorsey did a great job of recruiting and getting players in. I mean, you think about how well he's made that defense. He got Odell Beckham in there. He got Jarvis Landry in there.
I just think Baker's like a punk. He's got to learn to shut his mouth and be more of a leader. He does start a lot of controversy in the news. He talked about people's contracts. It's just, like I tweeted him the one day, someone said that he has more commercials than wins, and I tweeted that to him. But, he's got to grow up because you know what? He's like a more talented Johnny Manziel without the drinking problem. It's just it's getting old. It's getting ridiculous. Just shut up, play football, win something, and then come back and talk once you win something.
Yeah.
How about Jameis Winston being the first quarterback ever to join the 30-30 club, 30 touchdowns, 30 picks?
Yeah,
And he's demanding more money.
So, I have an interesting view on this. I don't like Jameis Winston at all. Being a Saints fan, I don't like him at all. He can throw the ball. Don't get me wrong. He's a good quarterback. He throws a lot of picks. But
he's a gunslinger.
On the other side, though, he's like the person that to hold this record before him was Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning's rookie year, he threw 29 interceptions. Mm-hmm. And then look what Peyton Manning turned into. I don't think Jameis Winston should stay in Tampa Bay. I think he needs a new scenery, almost like Marcus Mariota. I think Marcus Mariota's probably just done. He's probably going to be backup from now on. But
there's rumors out there of Cam Newton going to Tampa Bay.
Yeah. I think Teddy Bridgewater would make a great improvement in Tampa Bay. That's another story. But Jameis Winston, I think he's got a great coach, great quarterback coach. You think about that. That's a great quarterback coach. I think Jameis Winston is going to be a guy that you can't give a big contract to because he's going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to be an inconsistent thing. He's either going to have a great game with 1 or no picks, or you're going to get, 400 passing yards or 5 picks. Like you're never gonna get that guy that's gonna have 6 great games. I think he's always gonna have his struggles. I mean, you think about the coaches he's had, and he still has these struggles. He puts up great yards, but I mean,
Well,
at
he's
the
the
end,
quarterback that's going to win for you. He's going to beat you.
yeah.
So
I mean, and
but you mentioned Teddy, and you got an interesting scenario next year. I mean, if you guys win the Super Bowl, there's rumors saying that Drew Brees is walking away into the sunset, and if you lose Teddy, that leaves you
Taysom Hill, which I'm okay with.
Which that gives the Cowboys a good chance of stealing.
Sean Payton's not going to leave. He's on a 5-year deal.
There's a lot of rumors out there about Sean Payton,
no
about Zimmer
sense.
from the Minnesota.
Makes no sense. Why would you sign a 5-year deal with a team and then you want to leave?
It doesn't matter.
He's not leaving.
It doesn't matter.
This is like 5 years ago. You said this. You and Noah were like, Sean Payton's a free agent. He's coming to Dallas.
He's going to coach the Cowboys again.
He just bought a house in Dallas. He ain't leaving because he knows if he goes over there, Jerry Jones isn't going to let him do his thing.
If he loses his quarterback, you never know. Dreams do come true.
Jerry Jones would never allow him to be the Sean Payton that he is in New Orleans, and you know that for a fact.
That's just all you don't know anything about the
Cowboys.
You
know for a fact Jerry Jones is the reason that there's so much bad stuff going on over there.
There's a lot of people that come out and say that's such a crap. That's all news in the media. That's not the truth. Jason Garrett has a lot of pull in those meetings, and that has a lot of stuff that he's allowed to do, but a lot of them don't want to do it. But I listen to Brian Broaddus and all them on 105.3 The Fan. They say there's a lot of crap. So, and these guys worked with Jerry Jones, and they worked as scouts for Jerry Jones and all them.
Well,
so
me and you were listening to Undisputed the last night, and they were talking about how Jerry Jones is having meetings with Jason Garrett, and he has his family in that room.
Nobody even knows if they're having meetings. The media hasn't been allowed.
They've had 3 meetings.
The media hasn't been allowed in the building. Nobody knows what's going on. And as
I know what's going on. They're not firing him.
I hope they don't.
They're not.
I think we're a defensive coach away from doing something. The offense improved. We're in the top 3 in offense. You just have lazy defensive players. Chris Richard left. He went and had an interview today with the Giants.
I wouldn't let him walk.
I would. After 2 years of that crap, it's time for a change. It's time for a change of scenery. It's time for a change of defensive style. We need a coach in there who's going to put a fire under their asses, and they're going to start moving and tackling, because we have a lot of lazy individuals on that defensive side of the ball.
Yeah. I think that Jerry Jones met with him 3 times, and I think that they're trying to discuss a way that we know that you're going to be our coach. Let's try and figure out a way that let the fans know this is the right reason to do this, because I don't think he's gone, or else he would have been gone. Why have 3 meetings with a guy if you're going to fire him?
Well, first of all, like I said, they were in Aspen for freaking New Year's. No one even knows if they had the 3rd meeting. It was supposed to be a 3rd meeting today. But the media wasn't allowed in the building again today. So no one knows if Jerry and Steven are even at the start today.
Yeah.
So nobody knows. And I seriously don't think they're trying to fire him. I think they're trying to get him to stay in either as a coach or stay involved with the organization somehow. I mean, the guy's been there 25 plus years. His dad was involved with the team, so he has a lot of history with them.
You know who'd be a good coach? Tony Romo.
I don't know. I don't know. He never coached before, so who knows? But you need.
I said this from the get go.
You need a motivator.
I don't think Jason Garrett was the problem. I think there's a lot of people that want to blame him. I mean, when your team was doing great, you guys were like, man, Kellen Moore's doing great. Chris Richard, we got great defense for 3-0, and then you guys start to lose, and it's Jerry Jones' fault. It's Jason Garrett's fault.
People don't realize when you bring in a new coach. Look what happened in Washington. Ron Rivera's there today. He brought in Jack Del Rio. Everybody else on that organization, as far as the coaching staff, was fired today.
Good.
So you know what? Now you're going to have the new personnel coming in, a whole new formula, a whole new setup. So it's just like starting over.
Yeah. I mean, like I said that, like when I was just saying a second ago, like, do I think it's his fault? No. Do I think you guys need a new change in there? I absolutely do. I think you need someone that's going to fire these guys up.
I think defensively we do. I think we
I think you need a great head coach. I think you need a better head. I don't know. I just need.
No one knows what happens in the locker room. Everyone says all this stuff, but when they put out that behind the scenes thing, you saw Jason Garrett fired up. You saw him cursing. You saw how he is. Just because he's a good interview and he's polite to the reporters and he's not ripping people. He's not ripping people by their face mask and cursing, and he's not screaming. You know what? Some people coach differently. I mean, look how Peach used to coach in softball and everything, and look how I coached in baseball. Mm-hmm. I wasn't a guy that used to rip at individuals individually. I treat everyone as a team. Yeah. So, I just think that we're closer now than we ever were. The guy's a winning coach. And there's a lot of teams out there that are doing a lot worse than us. Mm-hmm. And I just think we're key defensive. The problem with the Cowboys is we have 26 free agents that we have to figure out how to sign.
There's a lot of them defensive,
and
too.
A lot of them you got to let go, and you got to get better people in there. We have a good draft pick this year. We can get a good receiver. We can get a good secondary guy. There's a lot of things this team can do this year.
And let's be real, you're not going to get rid of Amari Cooper because who would ever draft a first-round player and then trade him a year after or get rid of him
But
a year?
still,
You know what I mean? Like you're definitely going to keep him.
It's not really like you traded a first-round pick. You traded the 27th pick in the draft. It's not really considered a good pick anymore. Anything after like the top 15 really isn't considered a good pick anymore in the NFL.
I mean, my books, you can get good talent third rounds, fourth rounds.
There's a lot of things they can do. They could sign Dak. They can franchise tag him, Amari, and then they can trade him.
Honestly,
they can trade him for draft picks.
In my opinion, I think you just give Dak the money. I think Dak's your guy.
Brian Broaddus and them today were reporting that this draft this year is loaded with at least 10 to 15 good receivers. So if you're going to move and make a change, now's the time to do it.
Yeah.
First of all, why would you want to pay a guy, 18, 19, $20 million? That's Michael Thomas money. That's Julio Jones money.
Who's asking for that?
Him, Amari Cooper. Why would you want to pay that guy?
He hasn't proved that yet. He hasn't proved that yet.
Sure, he had 1,000 yards receiving, but still.
I mean, you look at his time in Oakland.
Yeah.
It was inconsistent.
Yeah, and that's what he showed today. I mean, this year on the road.
Last year when you got him, he looked good. He looked like he was your man. The start this year, he looked good. And then that second half, he just disappeared.
I just think, you don't want whatever happens. Another thing, too, is they're saying that they already know who they have lined up. Lincoln Riley. No one's even talking about Lincoln Riley. You know what I mean?
Who's that?
So he's the coach from Oklahoma. That's who the Jones is like. But
as a defensive coach?
No, as the head coach. So that's one of the rumors out there. But why? I don't know. I'm not a big fan of college coaches coming into the pros.
Jerry Jones' grandson, I think, is a quarterback at Arkansas State, I think.
Arkansas.
But
the thing is like in college, you pick your roster, man. You go out and you recruit. Mm-hmm. In the NFL, you don't do that.
Yeah.
So how are these guys going to come in and they're going to be able to handle this kind of an atmosphere?
Some coaches do great, some don't.
Yeah,
look at Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly struggled bad.
Yeah.
So some guys come in with this mindset that their scheme is going to work because it worked in college, and they get in there and it doesn't work. I mean, you have some people that it does work.
Bring good old Jimmy Johnson back.
He's probably almost dead by now. Yeah, I think he'd have a heart attack.
Interesting things we were talking about the Cowboys. One of the things that came out is Dak and Dallas haven't had a contract discussion since week 1, which is a little concerning.
I don't think maybe it's not a concern thing. Maybe he's more focused on just playing the game and maybe he was focused on proving it this year, which he did. He did put up career numbers this year.
Yeah, he did. But like I said to you in the last podcast, a lot of that was in garbage time.
But again, when you look at the Dallas Cowboys, when I look at Dak, I don't see a bad quarterback. I see a good quarterback that can lead your team.
And there was a stat today that I heard that he only threw the ball 70 times more than he did last year.
And that should be a good thing because I remember when you used to scream at the TV because the guy would never throw downfield.
And he was sacked 33 times less than last year, which was improvement. So that's offensive line. That's Colombo and all them.
You can't just say it's offensive line too. He is improving every single year, and you can see that.
He just needs to the scramble more, and run. There's a lot.
I think he does too, and I think that's also in the coaching scheme though too. I think they don't want him to run as much, but I think that he's your guy. I think you give him some money, and I think you let him be your guy. He's a franchise quarterback, and let's be real, there's another team that will pay him in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
There is, and if I were you, I wouldn't want Dak to go because that means you just got to restart with quarterbacks again. You're going to go through some 2 years. I mean, look at Kyler Murray. He had a decent year, but you're not going to win a lot until he gets involved. He gets a mindset and gets a consistency.
Let's talk about your Antonio Brown. I knew that was a bunch of crap. He's not going to go to New Orleans. He actually ripped into New Orleans and said that all it was a publicity stunt for them. And the Saints told him, if you're going to come to the workout, don't bring your entourage. He brought his whole entourage along. So it's just a bunch of crap. This guy, he's never going to play in the NFL again. He can't keep his mouth shut. He can't stay off the freaking Twitter. And he's always bashing people. He was out there bashing Juju today. It's just, the guy is just going to end up either playing arena football, XFL, or up in Canada or not playing at all. Because it's a waste of talent. It's crazy. His mind and his mouth get him in trouble.
I don't think this was a publicity stunt. I think the Saints, especially Sean Payton,
they're doing their due diligence.
Yes, especially how great of a coach Sean Payton is. I think he wanted to truly see how well in shape Antonio Brown was, and that I think that they're in their mindset. They were thinking, okay, when the NFL does release this guy, it will give us a point of view of how he looks and whether we want to get. And when he left, when he left that workout, even though he brought his entourage, New Orleans loved him. They
He's
said
a waste of
they,
talent.
they said he didn't drop one ball. They said he looked amazing. And then what's funny is 2 days later, he tweets this video out. Anything that the New Orleans Saints liked about you is gone now. Any chance you had of one coming back in the NFL, you blew that chance because you ripped them a new one.
And when you got the report and you came downstairs all happy, it was the first thing I told you. I said, the NFL's going to suspend him as soon as someone signs him. And what happened? Ian Rappaport came out and said, as soon as someone signs him, he's going to go on the exempt list.
But I heard reports too that the Saints could have signed him, right? And yeah, the NFL would have suspended him, but that would have gave them a better chance to extend him when he does get back in the league. But like I just said, when he left the Patriots, if he would have shut his mouth and then the NFL let him back in whenever or if it does ever happen, they could have brought him back. But then he tweets all that crap and he blew his chance with the Patriots. Same thing he just did with the Saints. He says it's a publicity stunt, that it wasn't worth it. And now the Saints aren't going to sign you after that.
One key stat that I did see today too is you got to give credit to Carson Wentz, and I hate talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, but his only weapon that he had was
Boston Scott?
No, Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz was the only receiver over 500 yards receiving this year, and he loses him. No receivers on that team had anything over 500 yards, which is crazy. So you got to give credit to Wentz.
He's making things happen without weapons.
Yes, he really is.
Another news stat that came out is the Bears came out, said Mitchell Trubisky is going to remain the Bears starting quarterback in 2020, which I agree with personally. I know there's a lot of talk about this guy, and I think that he's got a lot of potential, but
well, they have to say that. The GM who drafted him is still there, so you can't go against the quarterback that you drafted, 2 years ago? So that's not good business.
The only thing he said that he wants him to play with more consistency, which I agree with. I mean, Trubisky, in his 2019 campaign, he threw for 3,138 yards and 17 touchdowns. I mean, it's only in 15 starts. He missed a couple of games. I think it was his shoulder he hurt, sliding that one play. The only thing he finished 2019 is the least productive passer in the NFL, averaging 6.1 yards per attempt, which put him in the toilet. But I mean, 3,000 yards, 17 touchdowns, 10 picks. I mean, it's not the greatest, but it's not the worst. 15 starts. I think he's got a lot of potential. But no, it's for real though. Let's talk about Ron Rivera, 5-year contract deal that they really haven't released the money yet or any details about that. But
their all season hasn't even started yet, and you have to give them an A- for a rating already.
I think that's an amazing signing.
Between Rivera and Jack Del Rio for the defensive coordinator, and what do they have? They have a top 5 pick. They're going to get that young from Ohio State. They're going to be stacked.
That defensive end?
Yeah.
That's if he even goes in the draft.
They're going to be stacked. So, I mean, you have to give them at least an A- already, and the offseason hasn't started.
You saw with Carolina how much they loved Rivera. They didn't even want to get rid of him. I mean, it was hard for them to do that. But Rivera comes in, you have a young Cam Newton, takes that, and they become a really good team. They had their ups and downs, obviously, like most teams. But it's almost the same situation. You have Rivera, good coach. I think he's a great coach. You have a young Haskins, a young team. They played, I think, with 3 rookie wide receivers this year, by the way. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot to work with. Rivera, I think, will change the culture of the Washington Redskins organization and do a really good job at it. But, I mean, they fired Jay Gruden on October 7th after he went 0-5. And then Calhoun finished the season as the interim, whatever it is, that head coach. Mm-hmm. I think that this was a really, really good signing by them.
Well, you had the idiot owner, Daniel Snyder, come out today and wished everyone a happy Thanksgiving when he hit the podium.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't understand what's wrong with this guy. I mean, Washington is a mess.
Rivera did lead the Panthers to the playoffs 4 times. His overall record is 76 wins, 63 losses.
Yeah, but and
he got to a Super Bowl.
If you look at his stats though, like every year, like he'll go 12-4
and
one
go
year,
like 7-9.
Oh yeah. So it's like been a roller coaster ride.
But you
for
also
him.
got to think too. His starting quarterback has been injured a lot too. He's never actually Cam Newton's always dealing with some type of injury.
Yeah.
I mean, and then Carolina was like 5-7. And then he just went down, spiraled hill, and then he got fired. But
they're gonna have a big decision with Cam Newton down there anyway. But we'll get into that.
Washington went 3-13 this year, so they will have a good pick. 15th overall pick Haskins will need to do a lot of work next year.
Well, they have to get weapons to help him out. Are they going to move on from Adrian Peterson and use Geis as their number 1 back in the backfield?
I think Geis has a lot of potential if he can stay healthy.
You have Thompson, who's always injured back there. You have a tight end who's always injured. So you have to get weapons. I mean, the defensive side of the ball, they're pretty well good. You have a great defensive line. Secondary needs a little bit of help.
They have a really good defense.
Yeah. Secondary needs a little bit of help, but you know what? There's a lot of good weapons there for Rivera, and they're going to turn that team around. That team's going to have like it's going to make the 49ers. They're going to have a big jump like the 49ers did. 49ers won one game the season before, and now they're freaking on the verge of going to the Super Bowl. So you never know. The magic of the NFL.
I'm looking forward to this offseason because I'm intrigued to see what happens with a lot of these teams and their quarterbacks. You know, there's the big question, what's happening with Andy Dolan? What's going to happen with Fitzpatrick? I mean, Fitzpatrick played decent for how untalented that team was.
Let's face it, Cincinnati, you know, they're going to draft Joe Burrow. I mean, the stats that guy put up against freaking who would they play? LSU, who would they play?
They're going to be playing Clemson, but they played Ohio. They didn't play Ohio State. They played was it Oklahoma?
You know, he was freaking
5 touchdowns in the first half
27, 403 yards passing, and 6 TDs in the first freaking half. 5 touchdowns passing, 1 rushing. He ended up with 7 TDs total. It is crazy. He set a playoff record of 29 of 39, 493 yards passing in a playoff game. Yeah. 55-yard passing touchdowns this whole season. It's second most in college football history.
It's just you think about all the quarterback situations. I mean, Jacksonville, they have a problem. They have paying a guy really a lot of money who didn't really do anything this year, and then you have a guy that has a lot of potential. You have Denver, where Drew Lock got some starts in the end of the season, looked pretty good, and they also have Joe Flacco there. But Phillip Rivers, is he gone this year? Is he going to get traded? Is he going to stay there? You know, I'm excited to look at it. And then also like Detroit, are they going to trade Stafford? Are they going to draft somebody? Tampa Bay, are they going to keep them? Is Cam Newton going to stay?
Well, they're going to have to figure out what's going on with Stafford's back. Does he have the same injuries that Romo had? You know, unlike Romo, you know, I think Stafford is a little bit younger than Romo.
Yeah. My biggest one I'm intrigued about though is Miami, because Josh Rosen I think is done. I don't see him doing anything. Every chance he's had, it's been pretty bad.
I saw a trade rumor. It's just a rumor, but they're saying that he could be traded to New England as a backup up there. I just think
learning from Tom Brady would be, but that doesn't make sense though, because the Patriots drafted a guy they like.
He's gonna be like an AJ McCarron. He's gonna be one of those guys that floats from team to team to team, and he's not gonna really get any playing time.
AJ McCarron has a potential though, but it's just like Fitzpatrick, for how untalented that team was, he played pretty well.
You know, another guy to watch in the draft, Justin Jeffries from LSU, 4 touchdown receptions in the first half of that game.
Saints. I wish the Saints would get another receiver with Michael Thomas. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the playoffs. I'm looking forward to this offseason. I'm hoping the Saints can win a Super Bowl. That is intriguing though, because I don't think Drew Brees is going to retire. I think he's got a lot in the tank. But I think if he wins the Super Bowl this year, I mean, you think he holds all the records, most of the records. Did you see how they came out with the top 10 quarterbacks over the decades?
Yeah.
And Drew Brees didn't even get in. He was on the nominee list. And I'm not saying this because I'm a Saints fan, but how can a guy who holds almost every record in the NFL not get in the top 10 quarterbacks? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. I can see Aaron Rodgers not getting in, you know, because they have to add all these old quarterbacks in.
Yeah, a lot of quarterbacks on that list I didn't even know about.
But it's just like a guy that holds all the records almost. How do you not put him in? Like, what's the point of breaking records and holding records if you're not going to put him in?
That's just somebody's list. It doesn't mean that they're not good. It's just
no, I know.
But look at T.O. T.O. wasn't on there, and he freaking flipped out on Twitter about it.
Yeah, they put Tom Brady in and a bunch of older guys that I really don't know who they are.
Of course, Tom Brady's going to be in there. I mean, he had 6 Super Bowl rings. You know, so.
Great player.
But like Dan Marino's on there. I think Dan Marino's well deserving of that. Dan Marino's one of the best quarterbacks of all time without a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I know. That sucks. It sucks how much Super Bowl really could dictate your.
I think legacy. That's crap. I really do. I mean, like they're saying Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer because he has 2 rings.
2 rings, yeah.
But like overall stats,
I mean, you gotta give it to the guy. He won 2 Super Bowls.
You know, Brett Favre's another good quarterback. You know, he's a gunslinger.
I don't think he made it.
I think he was on that list.
Was he?
Yeah,
I know he was on a nominee list, but
because I know whatchamacallit liked him, the coach of New England. He likes him.
Oh, Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. I hate stupid lists. I don't know if you want to talk a little baseball.
Yeah, let's go.
Twins are one of the teams that are pursuing Josh Donaldson. They've recently just signed Rich Hill and Homer Bailey. You know, Rich Hill's 39, went 4-1 with a 2.54 ERA and only 13 starts with the Dodgers. Homer Bailey, I really haven't heard anything of Homer Bailey since he threw that perfect game. He went 13-9 last year with a 4.57 ERA and 31 starts. I don't really see him being a good starter this year. I see him being moved to the bullpen possibly, or even like a AAA guy.
Yeah, but Bailey, he's 33 years old. He was 13-9, 4.57 ERA,
Yeah.
31 starts for the Royals in Oakland. But between 2015 and 2018, he struggled with injuries. He only had 46 starts and a 9-27 record.
Twins had a good team last year, and if they can get their hands on a Josh Donaldson, who had, I think, 39 home runs last year. I wish I had somebody to correct me. Josh Donaldson, who I predicted would have a good prove-it year, which he did with the Braves. I think he batted .257, if I'm correct. Only had 39 home runs. But they're saying that 3 teams, which are the Nationals, the Twins, and what was the other team? Dodgers?
The Braves.
Braves, Twins, and Nationals, that those teams are offering about a 4-year, $100 million contract. That's $100 million. After he suffered injuries with the Blue Jays and Indians and really didn't do anything. But he was an MVP with Toronto and was, at one point, a very good player. And he showed signs of that last year, and I called that.
The Braves have to do something. I mean, I know they've been tied to Arenetta, or whatever his name is.
I don't think he's gonna get traded.
I just think that contract's gonna be too big. At $200 million that's left on it. But they have like little options after Donaldson at third base. They have Johan Camargo and Austin Riley. They'll probably split in time afterwards. If Donaldson walks, so they don't have anybody, they got to fill the void. Same with the Nationals, man.
But their team's so good already, so why would you not want to keep the core pieces together?
Yeah, the Nationals, like, they lost Rendon, so they're gonna have to. They have Jack Noel and the 2016 first round pick Carter Kaboom. He only batted 128 in 39 games last year.
They're saying that if Donaldson doesn't sign with the Braves pursuing Arenado becomes a lot more plausible. But the Rangers, they've been on and off about Arenado, but now they're saying that they're going after outfielder / infielder Nick Castellanos, which is good, and Marcell Ozuna. Yeah. But they've also been linked to Arenado and Josh Donaldson. What's funny is the Rangers, we predicted last year we're almost going to do like a rebuilding year. But they shocked both of us.
We thought they were going to do more in the offseason this year because they're going into a new stadium.
And they did. They got Kluber.
That's it.
They just got someone else. I don't remember his name. But if they got like a Josh Donaldson to play third base, because they have a good solid infield. And Joey Gallo is a good home run hitter. They could throw in Josh Donaldson to hit some more home runs with him too.
That'd be a good place for us to send Andujar for like a Mike Minor.
Yeah. Mike Minor's old though. For an Andujar, that's a bad trade.
Well, okay, we'll take him and we'll throw in Happ in that trade. we'll take their Mike Minor.
But the Rangers, man, they could, Nick Castellanos would be a good one because he's a utility guy. He originally is a good third baseman, and then Detroit moved him to outfield. But that'd be a good pickup for them.
Well, the Nationals have to do something because they lost Rendon. Other free agents are Azubro Cabrera, Ryan Zimmerman, Brian Dozier, and Matt Adams. So they can't afford to lose all those weapons because the chance of them going back to the World Series are going to be nil. I won't be picking them in April.
Yeah.
So they got to do something.
And I saw today that Dodgers pursuing Mookie Betts is getting a lot more heated because they were pursuing Lindor, but they kept asking the Dodgers for one of their top prospects. They're a shortstop who they believe will be better than Lindor. He batted like .337 in AAA last year. And I think he batted .240 in like only 23 MLB games this year. I can't remember his name. But so they're pursuing Betts now instead, which is becoming real. I don't know why Boston would want to get rid of Betts. I mean,
they're trying to clear cap.
But now they're also trying to throw in David Price into that deal because David Price has a big contract, and they're trying to get under the luxury tax.
I think Boston just got hit with that $31 million luxury tax, so they're trying to get underneath it.
I mean, they do have if they can somehow manage to keep what's their big hitter that plays right field? Gosh, it's been a while since I talked about Boston. He's their big guy. We're gonna forget about this part. I don't know, but. I mean, if you get rid of Betts, you still have a good team. And if you get rid of David Price, who's been struggling for you, you can clear that money out. I would want to keep Betts, though. I mean, you paid almost everybody on that team.
I don't know what Boston's doing, but I don't see them. I see them falling behind Toronto in the division this year. See the Yankees winning it, Tampa Bay second, Toronto third, Boston falling.
It's making me so mad that I can't think of this guy's name.
I know who you're talking about. I just can't think of
the guy that got traded from not traded, but they picked him up. I think from Detroit.
Yeah,
he came over, hit a lot of home runs, I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
He's so good. It's bothering me. I can't check the internet either because my internet's out. But I was talking with someone the other day, though. I think the toughest division this year is going to be... dude, I'm drawing so many blanks. It's, the Mets, the Phillies, Atlanta, and who am I missing? Mets, Phillies, Atlanta. Who else is in that division? Help me out.
Hold on, Ty. I'm trying to find that guy's name that you were looking for before.
But you think about how
You're gonna be doing a lot of editing.
we're not gonna edit this out. I mean, we're having a good time. You think about how each of those teams have improved, especially the Phillies. You get Joe Girardi, you get Didi Gregorius added on your team. The Mets get Dylan Betances.
JD Martinez.
That's him. That is him.
And he's another one that doesn't want to be there anymore.
Well, yeah, they didn't re-sign him either, and they lose him too, and Mookie Betts. That's huge. But like I was saying, that division with the Phillies, the Mets, the Braves, and the Marlins. That's what it is. I think that's going to be a tough division. Not include the Marlins, because the Marlins are going through some really big stuff right now. But the Mets improved. Cespedes has come back. He just reworked a contract with the Mets. He's predicting he's going to hit 53 home runs this year. They get Betances. They enhance their bullpen. They still got Marcus Stroman, who could possibly still be a Yankee in like a year. I think he's a free agent after this year.
The Marlins picked up Corey Dickinson.
I saw that.
2-year deal.
Jeter's building something. Jeter's going to build a dynasty over there.
Back to Donaldson for a minute, though. Imagine if he went to the Twins. They hit 307 home runs last year.
I know. Yeah, at his 37 home runs or whatever, he had 39 home runs.
You put him in a lineup with Eddie Rosario, Max Kepler, Nelson Cruz, Miguel Sano, Jorge Polanco, and then you have Marwin Gonzalez as a utility guy because they'll probably move Sano to first base. Could you imagine how dangerous that team will be?
I think how dangerous they were playing the playoffs against the Yankees. I mean,
yeah,
that's a tough line.
I think
tough line to pitch to.
I think they still need pitching. I mean, Hill's a good pickup, but he's 39 years old.
Yeah.
Let's face it. I think it's a good pickup, but they still need pitching.
Yeah,
but
that's a tough team to play. I mean, it's like the Yankees. It's tough to pitch them. I mean, every single batter, 1 through 9, has a chance to hit a home run off you. I mean, every pro player has a chance to hit a home run off you, but the chance in the Yankees line to hit a home run off you from 1 to 9 is like 25% chance at least.
you see the MLB came down with the ruling on Herman today.
What is it, 60? It was like, 80 games, but
81
technically
games,
he's only going
but
to
it
serve
comes down
62.
63 games.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of people that do domestic violence. So, he lost a lot of respect in my eyes. Great pitcher for us. I mean, we get him back with Tanaka, Severino, and Garrett Cole. I mean, that's huge. And Paxton. I mean, that's a dangerous rotation right there.
Yeah, and I think they're still trying to get rid of Hap, but I'm telling you what, man, Jordan Montgomery's coming back. You also have
he was a bullpen guy though, wasn't he?
Montgomery?
Yeah,
he's gonna be a starter. I
think they'll put him in the bullpen though, because that would put us over 5 starters, wouldn't it?
No, I have to get rid of Hap because last year, remember, we did a bullpen start every freaking 5th day.
Yeah.
So hopefully to get rid of that.
Montgomery can throw hard too.
Let's do something we haven't done, and I know Brad's gonna appreciate this. Let's talk about hockey a little bit. The other day was the Winter Classic. It was the Stars against the Predators. Stars fell behind early 2-0 because of a 5-minute major and game misconduct. They came back and they rallied to beat the Predators 4-2 in the Winter Classic. Alexander Radulov.
Where was the Winter Classic at?
It was in Texas and in the Cotton Bowl. Radulov scored the tiebreaker and goal on a one-timer with 15 minutes left in the game, and Andres Sakura, he added another goal to put the game away. Ben Bishop has his 14th win. He stopped 31 of 33 shots. And Matt Duchene, I guess he's for the Predators. He had a goal and assist in the loss.
I would love to go to Winter Classic.
Oh, I know. I think next year it's in Minnesota.
Because the Flyers and the Penguins played in Philly, last year?
Yeah. The Flyers get back to the ice tonight they play the Golden Knights, who are 22-15-6. They look to bounce back after a bad game against the Kings on Tuesday night. They gave up 4 goals in the first period. They're in a little bit of a funk. They were 11-4-1, I think, in their last 16 games, but then they've fallen off a little bit here. They fall into 5th place in the Metro, but they're still in the mix. The last time they played the Knights, they won 6-2, but the Knights are hot. They won 7 of their last 10 games, and they jumped to first place in the Pacific. They play tonight at 10 o'clock. And then the Washington Capitals. Ovechkin on Saturday passed Teemu Selanne with 256 power play goals in his career. He's 8 behind Brett Hall at 264. And that's our hockey minute.
Our hockey hot, man. I love hockey. I do. I enjoy it.
But I don't know what's going on with our Sixers, man. The Sixers, they beat the freaking Magic. I mean, they beat the God, I'm having
Because
a
the
fucking
Pacers just beat us.
No, they beat the Bucks. They blew the Bucks out 121 to 109. Yeah, and then they lost 3 straight to the Magic, the Heat, and Indiana.
The
Games
Heat,
that they
man, I'm
should
so
win.
sick of losing the Heat. Ever since Jimmy Butler went there, it just makes me hate the Heat even more.
I just feel like we're missing that one piece, and I think it's a 3-point shooter. Like, we don't have that guy who can constantly come out and stick that in your
Tobias
eye.
is playing well for us. But
He is, but we need that threat, from the outside. And
I wish they played Trey Burke more.
Yeah, I know. The problem with our team is that we play so sloppy, dude. Too many turnovers. We just gotta clean it up. Get
like
Joel
Joel's
Embiid
a lot
down
of
low.
turnovers.
He cannot be stopped. He's got to get in there.
Wasn't it
and
Joel
play.
against the Heat the first time that he allowed that turnover late in the game and they scored?
Yeah.
Hit that 3-pointer with 2 seconds left.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think that's gonna do it for this podcast.
Yeah, hopefully we get more answers on Jason Garrett, find out what's going on with this Cowboys team, and of course they like to stay in the news, so we'll find out and keep everyone posted eventually.
It's 2020. It's a new decade for this podcast. Hope you guys had a great new year. We are gonna be coming up soon on the 1-year mark of this podcast, and it's been a great adventure. We'll do something special for that. But we'll get this up on YouTube with the videos. We've been having fun with the videos. It'll be up on iTunes, Google Music, Spotify is the other one I wanted to mention. And you can follow us on our Facebook page. It's Everything Goes with T&K. Instagram page, Twitter page. Keep it with everything that we like. But we hope you guys enjoy this podcast, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.